So thank you so much for joining again. I am going to start with our regular Scrum. And after we finish that, then we will go over the REST APIs today. That is an important topic for us. So, but let me start with the Scrum first. And before, actually get started with the Scrum, is everybody here already have assigned the Jira stories to you guys? Is there anyone here who has not assigned anything to him or herself? Okay, maybe we can hear that while during the update. So I'm going to start with Hisham with you. So tell us what did you do last week, and what were there any challenges, or what were any issues you faced, and what is it your plan for the next week?
Yeah, so last week I had a call with brother Fahim on the Docker thing, and he advised that we need to build the whole project locally, including database. So he said we need to build it based on Docker Compose, which is basically used to build multiple containers at the same time. So what I did Docker Compose for the front end, so I can start the container. Of course, database is hosted in the cloud. So I already uploaded to the GitHub. So I have a Docker Compose to run the front end and run basically the project.
Okay, does the Docker Compose also does the database install, Postgres install as well? Oh, sorry, MongoDB install?
We can, yes. We can request.
Certainly we can, but I just want to make sure that, because for now we're keeping it there because it's easier to manage on the cloud.
Correct,
so
yes.
Once, but that can change. There are limitations of keeping that in the cloud. So we'll have to look into that. Yeah. So keep working with him. And at some point, we would like you guys to show us what does it mean, what is Docker, and why we need it, and what's the benefit of using it. So maybe you and Fahim work on that together, and then maybe see what.
Yeah, I think brother Fahim meant to run everything locally, so we can run tests rather than using the database which is running on the cloud everybody's using. So we can build a testing environment where everybody can test, and we can run some testing on the code before pushing it to the outside. So,
so do you have any Jira stories assigned to you?
I had a chat with Hamza, and my plan was that, which when we discussed, is to work on my account page. But I was facing this issue with the login, because like he was basically putting his name, and I wanted to make sure that I link. When I click on my account, I load my information. So I was facing an issue to add myself to the database even. So that's why I was not able to link them. And then Hamza had an idea, is to add it manually to the database. But after that, I didn't get time really to work on it. But now it's working. My name and my information in the database. I need to work on my account to be able to see that when I'm logging in, when I click on my account, it loads my information automatically. So Hamza log in, automatically it will load his information. I log in, automatically it loads my information.
Yes. So what we're going to cover today also will help you guys understand the backend side of things. So I think today it will hopefully clear some more picture well. Okay, sounds good. So let's go to next one, Afif.
All right, so I don't have too much to update right now, but I do have a clarification I'd like to make. What I've gotten from our chat messages that I sent to you was that I need to work on the filters, and that's what I assigned to myself on the Jira, the member list for the admin. The only issue is that I don't know how I'm going to do that without working with Hamza. I was put with Urwa, but since she's assigned to payment history, which is a little bit confusing because that's also given out. So it's a little bit clustered. I'm not exactly sure how we're gonna make it work, because we're supposed to have each of us are supposed to be working on our own development. So so that we can all push it together. So I don't know exactly what are you expecting me to do for the member list admin.
So yeah, I think we might want to change things out here. So with the design, the way it evolved, it may be most of the member related stuff is going to get into Hamza's queue. But what we want you to work on is still on the filter side of things. So UI for the filters, right? You will work with Hamza for sure, but you will be owning the search part of it, that how you search the data, how you create those filters, and how you generate queries based on that filters, and then get the data back. Does that make sense?
Yes, but for the filters, I was planning on the way I wanted to do it. The table I showed in the meeting, I think 2 meetings ago, was a client side based like
That's
table.
fine.
So you would
That's
edit
fine.
via the checkbox. So then if I were should I work with Hamza so that we can build that table first? Then I can make the reports off of that, because currently the reports are generated from the server side, but all they generate is the village and the what's it called, the streets.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
want to include all the information from the table. So first we'll design the UI. I'll work with Hamza on that. Then I can make the filters on my own.
I think that makes total sense. Hamza, do you have any questions on that? You are clear
No.
with this?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm clear working with the FIFA.
Okay, so you probably work with Hamza on this, Fif, and basically, yeah. So I want to add more work for you guys, and I think last time I did allude to adding the activities. Like the activities could be Sunday school activities, could be sports and other things where the dependents can sign up for. So we may want to get you involved on that, but I still want you to finish what you started on, which is the filter stuff, because that's still you did some research, and I want you to finish that up. Is that
Yes.
Okay? Okay, perfect.
Understood. Thank you so much.
Okay, Hamza, how about you? How are things with you?
Doing well. I was a little busy throughout the week, so I wasn't able to get as much done. Today I've really just, or this time I've really just worked kind of looking on the front end, making this page look a little bit better. So I've managed to get the table to kind of look like this, and I kind of redid the member edit kind of page. That's all I've done. I did have trouble with debugging something. So on my code, I'm not sure if it's it must be my code, but when adding a new member, working through the debugger on this, open up the debugger here. I'm not exactly sure if it's actually because of my code or because of something else, because right here is when you're adding a new member. This is where it starts to save a new member through that function call right there.
Yeah.
So when I add a new member, let me just put in the details. Okay, I think person has it. Okay. So let me just make sure that the breakpoint's there.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be okay.
So it won't return from this function. It'll log this before that call, but then it won't log after the rest call. So that's one issue I had.
So it's probably the response is not. Did you look in the network trace that if this post call happened or not?
No, actually I did not.
Yeah, so you see this call is still pending. So something wrong with this. It's not coming back. If you click on the members again, the bottom one, you no. So yeah, here. So you see that there is a headers, but there is no response yet. So for some reason, okay, can you click continue in your debugger? Go back to the sources.
Oh, yeah.
Sources, continue.
Oh, it already continued, I think.
Oh, you already continued. So for some reason, it is not. So was this code already like this, or you changed something about it?
I didn't change anything in this function call besides adding the console.logs.
That's strange though, because that code is as it is, because that was working. So that is something in your environment. The server is not sending the response back. Is the server started already? It is, probably it is, because that's why it loaded all the members.
Yep.
Okay, so we can maybe look at it offline and see if is this is your environment issue, or we will because we have to cover the REST APIs today. So
Right.
we will talk about some of this.
I just wanted to share the issue, but yeah.
No, that's good. I think,
offline.
but we should probably look at it. This seems to be that the server is not sending the response back. There could be many reasons for that. I mean, cannot debug right now like that.
Yep. Okay.
Okay, so what is your plan for the next week? Are you going to when do you think you will be close to finishing this? Finishing the member list page and member added page.
I think for the most part, I just need to work more with Afif on the functionality part. I think once the functionality part is there, the member edit page is basically done. It's kind of just formatting issues I really need to work on, so that I can work on pretty much my own time.
Okay, yeah, make sure the thing I told you guys in the beginning, that you increase or decrease the width of the page, and it should still morph it properly. It should not, the field should still be visible on, if someone opens your page on the phone versus on the bigger screen monitor or a small screen monitor. So it should work whatever form factor it is.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, the React table I showed you currently is reflexive. It does like shrink and like compress until letters cannot fit on it anymore. Then it becomes one of the scrolling pages where you can like scroll horizontally and vertically.
Perfect. Perfect. Good. Good. Yeah. All right, Subhan, how about you?
Yeah, so let me share my screen. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, so me, Rafa, and Wahaj had a meeting earlier today, and then he talked about how I should use his page from Jira, and use the, you know how you told me the other day about like making a copy of each of the each new member. So I made new payment.js and payment.js, and basically I created data fields that would be used from the front end. So if I go back here, there's name, description, type, payment method, amount, and status.
Yeah.
So basically I just plug those in for here. And then I think in this lowercase stop payment.js, I still have to work on this. I'm looking at some of the videos right now.
Okay.
So right here, there's like first name. I have to change that to like whatever corresponds to the payment.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
I'm still trying to learn. And I think today we're doing the REST API, right?
Yeah.
So
All right. Have you guys installed Postman? I left a message. Has anybody installed Postman?
I'll install right now.
Okay.
Yeah, I have it installed. Yeah, I have it already.
You have it? Okay.
Yeah, I use it actually. So.
Oh, okay, good. All right. And Subhan, what is how much time do you think you need for you and basically I'll get to Wahaj later. So to get this backend finished, Subhan, for you is like
backend wise, I'm still like getting into the video. So I think we're gonna have one more. Me, Rafi, will have like another meeting during the week, and we'll aim for like either end of this week, or end of next week or week.
Okay. All right. Good. Next, Urwa.
So I've been kind of following through with the table tutorial that Afif put in the WhatsApp group to work on the payment table and kind of editing it so that it works with what we're trying to do there. I was a little bit confused as to how the individual user payment table is going to differ from what the admin view for the payment table is going to be. So I didn't get too far with that. I kind of have a good basis for the user table, but I'm not sure how much I should switch that up for the admin view.
Yeah, so for the user as a member, if I have made payments for the year, so I should see all my payments for the whole year, and there should be like the filters you guys are making, the criteria. So there are two things normally happens, that there is a criteria and there is a filters. So criteria applies on the query, and the filter applies on the results.
Mm-hmm.
You guys understand that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So basically you guys have to, it's a similar kind of work, and that's why you and Afif were part of the same same team. That's but again, you will probably be more working with the with these guys now, Rafe and Subhan and Wahaj, and then Afif will be working more with Hamza on because he's working on the member stuff. So it's the similar kind of work, but it's for the different objects, right? So so what is it that you need right now from either Afif or from these guys? Do you need you guys? I think we did talk about it last time that we will mock some data into it. Was any of you get hold of Brother Ahmad about it? That when are you guys going to be able to do that?
I wasn't able to get in contact with Brother Ahmed. We usually have meetings Thursdays, but I think something happened this week. So I didn't get to contact him this week. I'm not sure if Afif maybe reached out to him individually.
Yeah, because we need some data in the database so that you guys can print reports. Afif, you still will work with closely with Urva so that because your work is still similar, but it's for different objects. But this is all coordination, right? We work as team. We work with different. We work with our own team. We work with the other team. So that's just part of learning process. Okay, so you will work with Afif and the other guys, and then you will get hold of Brother Ahmad about data. Is that what your plan?
Yeah.
Okay. So one of other thing which you guys probably you and both Afif will have to look into that there may be some REST APIs which are okay to some APIs from the server which are okay for the online system, like people are making the payment and people are checking the results, but you may need some different kind of a data for your queries and everything. And the other thing I also want one of you, either Afif or you, to focus on would be that not just will you see the results, also we need to convert them into graphs as well. So for example, we want to see for Afif's case that how many members came in each quarter or new members joined our organization, or for you maybe that how many payments we got in the previous quarter, or what is the ratio and all that kind of stuff, the converting the report into the graphs that always look prettier on the website, like a picture I shared the other day. So you guys start looking into that as well. I mean, you don't have to do it right now, but at least start thinking about it and start learning about some of that stuff.
Yep, got it.
Okay. All right, who's next? Wahaj.
I was able to do a little work on the UI for the payment page.
Okay.
So I made it better from last week, which was this drop downs. Instead, I used selections which mimic radio buttons, but then like it looks like what we have on the Confluence page. So I try to mimic that. And
so one of the things, Wahaj, for you is start looking or researching about there may be some UI widgets out there which you may benefit from, which are already there in the React. This is good also. Learning from the scratch is always great. But a lot of times there are widgets already made out there in the React that you can benefit from. Take a look at yourself. I might be able to find as well for you, but I want you to do that kind of a research to see what is the right way to display the data. Whatever you will do will also help you learn and understand what how these UI is designed. But the one which we will use is probably some already built-in widget which we can use directly here. Does it make sense?
Yeah, sounds good. The other thing is that I need what I plan to do next week as well is look into states and hooks and see if I can get this clear button to work.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. Yes, the good reminder. Yeah, that we also want to spend some time. We have not talked about, and this is part of React. What is the state and what is the state management? There are some libraries also out there for the state management, but for our use cases, there is a library very popular called Redux for the state management. But I think for our purposes, the hooks and the state management provided by React is good enough for our use. So good that you are already looking at it.
Yeah, and that's basically it. Yeah.
And what is your plan for next week? You just keep working on it, extending what you can do about it?
Yeah, this, and I'll also work with Saban and Rafe on the back end.
Okay. Okay.
After we cover REST APIs, I think we will be able to move forward as well.
Okay. Okay. Perfect. Okay. Who's next? Rafe, you're back.
Assalamualaikum. Yeah, sorry, I had to join a little late today. Yeah, so I haven't really wasn't able to like mock up a design or anything, but I kind of started looking into PayPal's APIs, how to integrate it into our website. I started watching a couple of videos about that. I actually meant to ask you as well, Naimanko. For now, I think I see PayPal is pretty easy to kind of implement using like their APIs. It's not too difficult from what I saw. But do you want me to look into, I think there was Stripe, I think.
Right. Stripe is very popular. Actually,
Okay.
Stripe is also very, very hot company these days. I think that's going to IPO very soon. So that's actually very, very popular these days.
Okay.
So it's good to know about it, as well as that's a good experience to have. And
Okay.
React has actually very good support for
Stripe.
for Stripe as well. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't able to look into that, but I'll start looking into that as well then.
Yeah, so I mean, you are on the right track. I would like you to focus on the payment stuff, because you are a little bit since you already graduated, so you have more knowledge about these things. So that's why I also wanted you to look into more into the integration with the third-party products. So that's
okay. All right.
Okay, perfect. Thanks.
Naimanko, actually, another quick question. Regarding I think the widgets comment you made about the form. Exactly what is a widget? Because I was looking at like kind of like templates and stuff. Like maybe like some code that we could use, some existing code that we could use and model our form based off of that, but I never came across like widgets or anything like that.
That's exactly I mean by widget.
Okay, just like a template we could use.
Yeah,
okay,
a template or a library. So whatever you do, like in today we will cover some stuff like we say import something or require something. That's always a library. So there is a library to do different styles of button. There is a library to manipulate the data with the MongoDB. So these are the libraries which we use as a required. So a lot of these, I normally call it widgets because that's what they are really. So you can just, it's kind of a drag and drop thing. There's not too much you need to do in order to use them. It's pretty easy to.
Okay, I see. Yeah, I was looking into some things. I couldn't find like something too similar to what we wanted to design, but I came across a few things. I'll maybe just send them over to Wahaj. If you see anything as well, that'd be really helpful.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, all right. So any other questions for me before we move on? Okay, so good. So one other thing I was thinking, if you guys are okay, I would like to have a Scrum Master in our team, and I am looking for someone. I think we don't have. I think Brother Fahim has joined, but I don't see any other mentors. I was thinking that either Brother Athar or someone else who has experience with this. Scrum should be a Scrum Master. So this part which I just covered, someone else takes that, and I keep working on the technical side of things. Do you guys understand what I'm talking about? Because this is how we have our Scrum Master normally doesn't know anything about the product. So so basically, I will still be in the meeting, but I will have him run the Scrum part. And then I would like to have the Scrum meeting twice a week. That once is today, like every Saturday, we have this class, and one sometime in the midweek. Do you guys agree with that? Or you guys think that that will be a little bit too much for you guys?
I think it's good. I think maybe twice a week is good. It'll make us I think maybe help us be a little bit more efficient.
Okay.
Also,
yeah. So I will talk to Brother Athar or Brother Atif to take on that. And because that will also give us a time, scheduled time, because otherwise a lot of times you guys sometimes ask me question and I am very busy with the stuff, or when I get free, and then maybe that problem is gone, or maybe you guys moved on. So we probably will have another time, scheduled time, where we can discuss that. Rafa, you were going to say something, or?
Yeah, I just sent the question in chat, but is Scrum Master like is it like the same as a
Similar.
project manager, or
Similar.
are they separate? Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're similar, but project manager is basically more like who has to do all the planning about when this project is going to be finished, and how much time each and every story and task is going to take. Is more like on the timing side, whereas the Scrum Master is more on the activity, that what is happening, and is there anything we can do to help you guys progress better or stuff. And he can take an update from everyone. And this will also train us as well. I mean, train you guys also, that how it is, how it works in the organizations. So I'll talk to Atif, either Brother Atif or Brother Athar, to see if they are okay. If they are not, then I might pick one of you guys. So let's see. Okay, so let me share my screen now. So one other thing which I would like you guys to also do a little bit more is writing these documents. And I already assigned Brother Hisham to work on the getting started document for if, let's say, a new member wants to join our team. What is it he need to do? I mean, he can certainly watch our first session and he probably can get started. But other than that, we should have it documented. And this documentation is not just to helping other, it is like helping ourselves also at the same time. Whenever I'm writing a document, I learn a lot of things. And because I have to search, I have to see if the information I'm putting in this document is accurate and all that kind of stuff. It helps me in that way. And it also helps me because in the bigger organizations, in the companies, the documentation is considered very, very important. For any features or the tools we build, we have to write a very good documentation. And the better documentation you write, easier it is for the other people. And it also helps you grow further in the organizations, because people respect you for your knowledge, for the accuracy of information which you have put it in the document. And it just gives the impression to the team that you are a team man. You are not just learning yourself, you are writing the stuff, and which is helping the whole team, because no organization can run with one person, and you cannot depend on one or two people. You have to be able to work as a team, and if you are a good team mate or good team member, that always help you grow further in the organizations. Okay, so let's talk about what is REST. Should I go around and ask people what do they think and why we need it, and what is, I think I put it some things already. So I think everyone probably should know that what is REST is. REST means representational state transfer, which does not make any sense to me, at least. What is it? Why it is called representational state transfer, and what it has to do with us? So anyone want to take a shot at it on the REST? Afif, do you think, what do you think what REST is?
I mean, I'm not really sure. Is it something to do with the back end, like just data manipulation?
Yes.
Working with data?
You're right. And I like your honesty. I mean, if you don't know the answer, there's nothing wrong in saying that I don't know rather than guessing. But you are on the right track. No, that's fine. Wahaj, you want to take a shot at it? What is REST and why we use it?
I don't know as well, but I think it would be like getting data from the server, so wherever you want to get it from, to put it into your own application, so you can use it from there.
Yeah,
That's-
Okay, so REST is the, like you both of you guys, it deals with the data on the back end, right? And this document is actually, this image is actually telling us very, very clearly what it is about. So we know that whenever we are designing the application, there are two sides of code, right? One is the server side code and the other is the client side code. And in order for the server to communicate with the client, there is a communication that is needed, and that communication is done using the REST. Well, the communication happens on the HTTP. Again, these are all terms which we have to understand what these terms are, and I'll try to slowly explain. So don't get confused on all these words, HTTP or JSON and all these methods and stuff. This will all be very clear, hopefully, very soon. So I mean, this is not a topic which I can cover like in like half an hour or something. This will take a long time. And what I'm going to do is just touch upon the important things about this topic. And then I will open you guys up for questions, and also open you guys up to do the research, because I have attached a lot of links in this document where you can go and get that information or get the answers to your questions. So again, going back to the client and the server. So this way one thinks of more like this is a box, this is a server, and the server is also then another round box is there, which is called it. This is mostly used for the database. So think this is our MongoDB. This is where our Node.js server is running. And this is where our React.js is running. And in order for the React to get information from the server on the HTTP, we will have to use the REST. So that's how it is. Again, I know this is not clear. It is confusing, but I just want you guys to remember, without understanding even, that this is what it is, that there is a database. This is our Node.js. So this is MongoDB, this is Node.js, this is our React. When we are making a query to get the member on our browser, that browser is running some code on the React, which is on your computer. And then your computer makes a request, which is the REST API request, using the HTTP protocol to the Node.js server to get that information back. Does that make sense a little bit, or it's still confusing? So don't worry about HTTP, JSON, and all that. We'll cover those and these HTTP methods, but just want to get you guys understanding that there is a server, there is a client, and there is some communication happen because we cannot access the server directly. So we have to use some APIs, and that APIs are the REST APIs. So REST APIs is not the only method that is used to do this kind of a communication. REST API is one of the methods and one of the most popular these days. There used to be another very popular before the REST came out, was called SOAP, S-O-A-P. It's Simple Object something protocol, Simple Object Access Protocol, I believe. So that was used before REST. REST is very, very lightweight compared to SOAP. SOAP was very heavy, and REST is very, very lightweight. So one of the other important benefit of using REST is that one, it's a lightweight. Like when we say lightweight, what does it mean? That it does not have a lot of baggage when the request goes from client to server. So what does that mean? It does not have a lot of baggage. What it means is that when the request goes to the server, it has to go on some line, which is in our case is HTTP. So when this data goes over the wire using HTTP, if there is a lot of data, the performance of that request will be slower. But if it is a lightweight request and it does not have a lot of data, then the performance will be better. So that's why REST is lightweight. SOAP was not lightweight. SOAP was heavyweight. The other benefit of REST is that REST is stateless. Again, the stateless also for you guys is very maybe a term which you guys probably have no idea what I'm talking about, but I'll try to get to it. So I also want to read it so that I don't say something which is not very accurate. So like I say, why REST? Stateless client/server protocol. Each HTTP contains all the necessary information to run it, which means that neither the client nor the server need to remember any previous state to satisfy it. So when we say stateless, that means that these requests are stateless. And the benefit of having the stateless is that each request is an atomic request, that it is responsible for all the data. It does not have to, the client or the server does not have to remember what was my previous request and what was the result of that and what is this new request. The example I'll give you like this is that, let's say I signed into the system. So in a way, if I already have signed into the system, there is a way maybe for the client to server to remember me. But REST does not work that way. Every time the request goes from the client to server, it does not have to remember, because every request is, like I said, atomic request, and it is responsible for passing all the authentication, authorization, and all the information that is necessary to run the request. Again, I think I again give you a caution, you guys, don't worry too much about what I'm if the words I'm using does not make sense. But the most important thing you guys to have to know is it's lightweight and it is stateless. Stateless means that every request has all the information necessary to execute that request on the server. Again, the next thing I want you guys, since we use the word HTTP here, so maybe we talk about HTTP. What is HTTP? So HTTP is a protocol which allows the fetching of resources such as HTML documents. It is the foundation of any data exchange on the web, and it is a client-server protocol, which means requests are initiated by the recipient, usually the web browser. A complete document is reconstructed from the different sub-objects or sub-documents fetched, for instance, text, layout, description, image, videos, scripts, and more. So let's take an example. If I go to this page, yahoo.com. So if you look at this Yahoo page, you will see some hyperlinks here, some images here, some more images, some probably videos, some. So there is a lot of different kind of information here on this page. So when and a lot of this information may not be all on the same server. They may be coming from different servers. So HTTP basically gives you guys gives us the transparency to the end user that it can get all that information, like it is saying that you can have the layout, description, instance text, images, videos, scripts, and more. And then it can reconstruct the web page by collecting that information together and putting that in the form of the web page for you. So that's what HTTP does. This is a protocol that makes it transparent for you guys to access the data from the different servers and then show all that in the web page. That different kind of information could be images, videos, scripts, and more. So why we are talking about HTTP? HTTP, the only reason we're talking about HTTP is because REST is run on HTTP. So that's the only reason we're talking about it. And then I have some images here. So you guys might have noticed, and I would like you guys to use that as well, like these expand and collapse. And this is very easy to do in this. So I would like you guys to take advantage of some of the features of the Confluence. And these are all some widgets available in the Confluence. If I go in the edit mode, I can just insert from here. Let's say I want to add some more information here. So I can go here and look for an expand. So if I put an expand here, and whatever information I put in here, that will not show up in the page until you expand it. The benefit is that my document does not become very too big. I can, if you look at this document, this looks very small document here. But if I go in the edit mode, this is quite long document. The benefit of doing expand collapse is that you still have a nice view of what this document is about. But if you want to drill down and get more information, you can do that expand and collapse. Does that make sense to you guys? And when you guys are building these documents, I would like you guys to use these and the other widget. I'm not just saying this widget. There are a lot more widgets. There are some code snippets and other things which are available. You guys should use those. So I was just thinking about it today. So I just want to make sure that you guys understand and build these Confluence pages properly. So let's take a look at it. And this is exactly what I covered. So when this is the here, think about it. I typed in as a user HTTP www.yahoo.com. And then the request goes to the internet. Internet goes to the web server. And this is our server. Think about our node server, or this is also our, we can have multiple node servers. And then that request goes in from the web server, you get the web data. From the video server, you get the videos. And then from the ad server, you got those ads. And then all these things, look at this like get layout.css, get image.png, get page.html, get video.mp4, and all these are collected together and reconstructed into the web page. So this is how this internet traffic works. Does that make sense? I hope it does. So if it doesn't, we can maybe and you guys can rewatch the session also, and then we can also get to some of the questions later. And this same thing is in a different form. Again, this is HTML, there is a CSS, there is a styling, there is a JavaScript, then there are some web APIs. They go on the HTTP protocol and get this information from the server back. So this is just for and if you guys want to learn a little bit more about HTTP, this URL is very, very helpful. This is on the mozilla.org. This is very, very well written document. A lot more details than what I am covering here. But I would like you guys to take a look. If you guys want to drill down further, learn more about HTTP, this is probably the document you want to take a look at it. Okay, so how is it going so far? I just want to hear thumbs up or thumbs down from you guys. Is that okay so far, or is it very, very confusing that I'm talking about? Okay, looks good so far. Okay, perfect. Okay, so then the next thing we want to know, so we know that REST APIs runs on the HTTP protocol. The next thing is, what can you do on the HTTP, right? So if you look at this picture, we are doing mostly GET, right? GET means you access the data from the server and show it to the client. So that is called a GET request. There are other kind of requests also there, and those methods we will cover here in the what are the different kind of HTTP methods for the RESTful services. So REST services or RESTful services, don't get confused on this, the same thing, no difference. So this was a table, I found it somewhere. It's probably somewhere in the links which I have provided, but I thought I'll like to cover this with you guys. So we have mostly used this method so far. So REST supports different methods, which are also called verbs or something. And these verbs are there to do certain kind of a task with the REST. So for example, I'll get to the post later. Let's talk about the get first, because we know about it. Get is the request which we make to get the data from the server. And get request normally does not have any payload. And I'll cover the payload word. Remind me if I don't cover it. So the get request does not have a payload. It can have the parameters, URL parameters, but it doesn't have the payload, where all the other types of requests have some kind of a payload available. No, so I think get and delete doesn't have, the others have some kind of a payload. So when we make the get request on using the REST service, if we get the results back, then it means we get the 200. So when I say when we get the result back, it means that the results are either 0 or more than 0. Because if we get the 0 results, it doesn't mean that the request failed. It means that the object we are looking at, the object we are accessing, that may not have any data populated yet. So that is still an okay result. So that is 200. List of customers is an example, or in our case, list of members is an example. And we can do the pagination and other sorting and a lot of filtering stuff here using the REST. So this is something which Afif, you and Urwa and others who will be working on can look into it, how we can do the pagination, how we can do sorting on the server side, or we can do on the client side. But if you guys want to look further into what we can do on the server side also, certainly this is the place to go. So this is if you get, if you want to get the list of customers, and if you want to get the specific customer. So you can also do the get request, like I said, by either getting the list of all, or you can make a specific request where you pass the ID of the customer in the REST request and you get that back. And I think we have examples of both in we will basically cover our members.js, and we will try to map all these functions over there. The next one I want to go over is the post. So post is like to create the data. To create the new data is where we use the post. So if the post is successful, then we will get a 201. So also keep in mind, anything in 200s is always a good status. So in case of post, the HTTP, this is also HTTP status. It's nothing to do with the REST, but it's HTTP statuses. So 201 mean create, but like I said, all the 200s statuses are good statuses. Anything in 300 now, don't want to go over 300 yet. Anything in 400 or 500 are the problem. 400s are generally that the request failed because of some logic. So some validation failed, and that's why you get 404. Or the record does not exist, you get the 404. So that is the status which is called not found. And anything which is in 500 means something wrong with the server. So just a subtle difference. So 400's requests are more like something wrong with the request, but 500 statuses are there's something wrong with the server. Maybe the server is down, or server is not responding, or server is slow or something because of that. So you get, so 400s and 500s are the statuses which are means that this request did not go through. The post method also will have a payload involved. So payload is, what is payload? Payload is the object which we send to the server. So when we are making a post request, that means we are saving a new member. So when we are saving the new member, we will have to pass on that information in the JSON format, that if what is the name of the member, what is the address, phone number, and all that information. So we will have to send that information in the form of the payload. So that object, JSON object, is called the payload. So the post will have the payload, get will not have the payload, put will have the payload. So then there are two methods which are very similar, and I don't want you guys to confuse about them. Put and patch, they do pretty much same thing. So whenever you have to modify the data, existing data, so for example, you want to change some information in the members. Let's say you want to change the address, or you want to change the phone number. So you will use the patch. So like I said, they are very similar. Both can be used in this case. Put is normally used when the whole thing gets replaced, whereas patch, you can change 1 or 2 parameters with that. So most of the times we use the patch in this scenario, that we normally are changing the phone number. Not most of the times we are not changing the whole thing. We are changing only 1 or 2 attributes. That's what the real world example is. Then there is a delete method. So if we want to delete a row, so we saved a member and then we decided that this member is leaving this town and he wants to cancel his membership or whatever. In the real world, we don't delete it. We make it inactive. But if we have to delete it, there are some use cases in some scenarios where you have to delete. So that's where the delete comes in. So these are different methods. Are we good so far? I think so. I think this was not that complicated. I think I can move on the next. So let's talk about what is Express and what it has to do with us. So Express is like any other library, which actually makes the creating REST APIs very, very easy. Just think like that. So I'll read the content because this will be much more better description than what I'm saying. So Express.js, or simply Express, is a backend web application framework for Node.js. So it's a library for the Node.js server, released as a free and open source software under MIT license. It is designed for building web applications and APIs. It has been called the de facto server framework for Node.js. So this is basically for creating the REST APIs. This is very much standard on Node.js. There is hardly any other library which I know of which is used specifically for creating the REST APIs. I will cover the REST Express routing a little bit later because I think this might confuse you right now. We can get back to this Express routing, but I just wanted to keep it here so that we can cover this. Normally, there are two different ways. I'll just give you guys a brief example. So I think this code is basically so this is the code which uses the Express directly, and this is the code which uses the routing. So they actually do almost very similar stuff. The one which is used in our application is this. So I would stay with what we are using in this application, and then we can always get back to this. Is actually when you have a very, very simple application and you just have 1 or 2 pages, you would go this route. Because you are putting all your REST APIs, in this case, in one file. But if you have multiple objects, like in our case, you have members object, you have a payment object, and then let's say activities object, and maybe more objects, then it is better to separate those objects out and those REST APIs out so that they are easier to manage for us. So this is the way we are using in our application as well. So we will go through this code from our member.js. So let's not spend any time on this for now. The other thing which we need to know here is Mongoose. So Mongoose is also another library which we are using. And what this does is, so basically, we earlier talked about is that in order for the client to talk to to the server, there's HTTP protocol. And then we use the REST APIs on the HTTP protocol to make that communication. Then the server, the Node.js server also has to talk to database, which is our MongoDB. Just think that in order to make that communication simpler, we are going to use the Mongoose library. Mongoose is like the description says, is an object data modeling library for MongoDB and Node.js. It manages relationship between data, provides schema validation and use to translate between objects in the code and the representation of those objects in the MongoDB. What I can, in simpler language, what I would say is that this library make it easier for the Node.js developer to communicate with the MongoDB. And when I say communicate, like in the MongoDB, the developer here, the Node.js or the backend developer does not need to learn too much about how those commands, which Brother Ahmed covered last week. He does not need to know all of that very well. I mean, knowing is always helpful because you can make much better decisions once you know better about things. But even if you don't know it, this library, Mongoose library, make it very, very easy for us to understand that. I think I'll switch back to our Visual Studio Code and try to show you how we are using it there, and we can discuss there. And then if we have time, we can come back to this document. Are you guys okay if we can go a little bit over today? Is anyone has any other appointments or anything? Looks like it's okay. Okay, so this is our member.js. So members.js, first thing we are doing, express is equal to require. What does this does? This does is that it makes sure that this library is included in this because this library is needed. Then the MongoDB require MongoDB, and then we require Mongoose. So any of these libraries which we are requiring, we are making sure that they are already present in the in our package, in our Docker or whatever. So basically, these libraries are already included in our package.json. So if we look for Mongoose, we will find Mongoose somewhere here. So that's really what it is checking. That is this, do we have that? Just make sure that these are present. So if they are not present, it can just fail from right here. It won't even get to the next statement or anything.
I have a question quickly, if you don't mind.
Sure.
So what is the difference between making sure it is present using creating a constant and doing an import? Sometimes we do an import.
It's a different syntax, just that. Yeah.
Okay.
There's no really, yeah. It's a different syntax. One syntax work in one scenario, other in other scenario. They are being used in yeah. So I have for my app, which I will show at some point also. I use mostly the import stuff, and then here it is. They do exact same thing, by the way.
Like just a syntax, like
Yes,
but we can do it using import, the same thing, or this is how we
I think in this code, in this specific code, the way it is structured, it probably will not work. And I can maybe give you more details. I'll have to look into it, why it is. I think if you try to use import here, it probably won't work. So you will have to use the constant in this scenario. So it's the way your project is structured. But like I said, I'm not 100% sure what's the right answer to your question, but this is what I know right now. And so that is basically you make sure that these libraries are present, and then there is a router is equal to express.router. So this is the router is used for the REST APIs. Just think like that. So we have this router, express router in this case, we are defining it, and that router will be used to create different different methods which we are going to support, like a get, post, delete, and patch, and whatever. There's another thing which we have to discuss a little bit more, and I probably won't be able to cover it today, is the authorization. So we are ensuring that that there is an authorization present for this request to go through. And this authorization is, in our case, is the Google authentication which we are using. So we have to make sure that the Google user is logged in with Google before this request can be made. So if you make this request from the postman without the authorization, it will not work. It will say, it will give you a 401 error. So 401 error means that there is no authentication present for this. And there is a 403 error also. Sometimes you see 403 means that there is authentication is there, but you are not authorized to see this page. So for example, like in our case, if I am a citizen user or a member user, and I want to go and look at member data, I will only be able to look at my member because that's the only page I have authorization. But if I want to look at another member's data, I won't be able to, because even though I am signed in with my Google ID, but I won't be able to see the other members' data. So, I mean, just want to make sure you guys understand, don't have to follow everything, but just want to get the concept out. Similarly, we also will need this member. And what is this member? So this member is basically used by the Mongoose library for creating the structure of our object. So in order for the Mongoose to know what are the different fields in our member, is going to be using this model. So this is the model which we have defined it here somewhere, member.js, right? So if you notice here also, we are doing a Mongoose and we are requiring a Mongoose here. And then we are creating a member schema is equal to new Mongoose schema, where the schema in the schema, we are giving the names of all the attributes which are part of the member. So basically we will need this for the REST APIs to work properly, because these are the attributes which will be used to save the data, to retrieve the data. And if you look at this attribute, there is a lot more attributes you can add to everything. So like right now, the only validation we have is required. There could be other validations. You can actually define validators, maybe for example, checking the range or lot of other attributes which Mongoose support. Mongoose is a huge library for this. And there is a lot of other attributes you can add here. You just have to go through the Mongoose documentation to see what all you can do about it. So just for now, don't need to worry about why we are doing it this way or what is this. Just think that we have to create a member schema. And this is the syntax for that. Member schema is equal to new mongoose.schema. And in this schema, we are creating this object. Anything with the curly brackets, it starts is an object. So this is a main object, and every attribute or every field in it is also an object. So we are creating this object, and this object is used here in the end to create the model. If you look at it, we created this schema, and then we pass this schema to our member, and we say we are exporting this as mongoose.model member.schema. So don't have to understand exactly what it is doing. Just think that this is our syntax we need to provide for this to work properly. We can go, I think, and there are documentations, and we can go more into these details a little bit later, but just want to make sure that I discuss this before we. So going back to members.js. So I think I'm going to stop at just finishing the get, and maybe, maybe I ask you guys a question. Do we want to add another 20-25 minutes today, or you guys think it is already too much and we can do it tomorrow? So let's get the.
I think we can finish it up today.
How about others?
I'm fine with finishing up today too.
Okay. All right. Anyone else has issue with this? Wahad, Subhan, Rafe, what do you guys think?
Yeah,
Or
no,
one-
I'm fine. I keep going.
All right, perfect. Subhan, Wahad, you guys are good as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll probably need to rewatch it though in the recording just to get
Yeah.
it.
No, yeah, sure. I think that's the whole reason I'm doing the recording, that I think, and it's good you guys watch it again to learn about this stuff. So yeah, let's try to finish this document, this member.js today, and we can come back to maybe either next week on this, because you guys already have a good idea. We don't have to cover anything tomorrow. We can just finish this off today, and we can come back to next week, because you guys already have a good idea of, hopefully, if you rewatch this, about the REST APIs using the Express. So if you look at this router.get, so this is our first function here. So if you notice, there are two get functions. One is get with slash, the other is get with the ID. So basically, in our REST APIs, when we are looking at it, it will use this members name there. So anything with the members slash mean that when we are making this REST API, this will more look like this. Let me go to the browser again. Just want to make sure you guys follow this. So if I go to our MHMA Heroku app, members. So if I go to the network, so sometimes happen. Okay. Members. So yeah, let's just continue. So the network. So this is the members request. So this is the REST API which went. So you notice that for us, it's showing the slash, right? So slash means anything after the members. So this is the root of this members request. So if we want to get a specific member, in that case, we will pass the member ID there, and then it will only return us one row. The get will return one member. So it's like get all members, get a member. So if we just want to get all of them, you just do a slash here. We want to get to a certain ID, then you will pass with a colon and the field name of that. And then the second parameter to this function is ensure auth. And we have this, and let's not get confused on that. All you guys have to know for now is that ensure auth is ensuring that there is you signed in user before you can make this call. So if there is user is not signed in, he will not be able to make, and he will get a 401 in that case. And then we are passing a function, which is a callback function, which is basically, and don't worry about async and all this stuff. We have to cover it at some point. We will be passing a request and response. These are the two parameters we are passing to this function. Request is the function. Request is what is we are sending, and response is what is we are getting back. So in this method, there is nothing much we are sending, so that the request is not used anything here, because we are saying that give us everything. So, but if we are passing an ID, then the request will be used somewhere. And the reason I knew that we are not using request anywhere, always look at the color of this variable. If the color is, I don't know which blue it is. So this one is, for me, is a little bit lighter blue, and this is like a navy blue. So if it is more like a navy blue, then it means this variable is not used here. But in this case, if you look, both are a little bit light blue, and it means that both of them are used. And the reason why request is used here and not here is because he has to process the ID in this case, like request.params.id. Whereas there is no need to check ID because ID is not provided here, and we are getting the whole thing anyways. So basically, that's really what about it. The other important thing to notice in this function is that this part and this part. So these functions are provided by the Mongoose library. So that's why I was saying that Mongoose make the use of the data manipulation between the server and the MongoDB very, very easy. So like in this case, since we already know what is the member, because we already defined the member metadata here in the member.js, so Mongoose already know what we need. So when we say member.find, he knows where he has to go and find that data. So he says member.find, and what is the requested format of the data also, because all that information is present in the member. So when we are saying member.find, it finds all the data. And since it is passing empty object here as a parameter, so it will return everything, all the members. And then once the data is returned, it is returned in this object is more like an object which has a lot more information than we need. So all these functions, if you guys notice, they are used to munch that data a little bit so that it comes back in the format that is what we need. So it is basically calling a populate user function, just making sure that it has the certain data that we need. And once we go and look it in the Postman or in our browser in the debugger, what you can do is just get rid of these functions. So just get rid of this function, and just let's see what does this return. And you will see that what is in the members, and it will have a lot more data than we need. So it basically, so like in this case, it ensures that we have the user data available, and it also sorts that data on the street, and then it calls the lean function. So lean function also reduces the data and gives us only the data which is necessary for our object. It does not, because it stores much more data than actually we need. And the reason for it is because it's a generic library, and it has to use all kind of data for its processing purposes. And we don't need to get that data. So that's why we are calling a populate user, the sort, and the lean function on that. Once this data is returned, you will see that this is also a very common thing which we will do, that we will send that data as a response to the browser. So this is basically response.send, means that whatever we got in the members after we did all that, we can send that response back. So, and we have put all of this into the try catch block. So what does the try catch block does? So try catch block does, if this statement fails, it will take us here, and whatever error it runs into, it will log that error on the console, and it will also set the status 500 in this case. So this is just a try catch block to make sure that if something went wrong, we are able to log that status properly. This also function should be very, very similar. The only difference you would probably notice here is that there instead here was a find. We are using a find by ID function, using a find by ID, and we are passing the request.parameter.id. Everything else almost exactly stays the same. We don't need to sort it here because we're only looking for one member. So that's why there is no need of sorting on street, because there's only one here. And if we don't find the member, we will set the status to 404 and we will send the message to this. And this code is still the same. But if we find the member, then we will set the member to the response. Is that clear so far? Okay. So let's now talk a little bit about post and the other methods. I think we have post and delete and the put. So post is the method where we want to create a new, we are creating a new record, like we're creating a new member. Again, same thing. We will have, so this will be again member, the URL will still be the same as the get URL. There is no difference in the URL. The method will be different because in the first case, we are passing the get method. In this case, we are passing the post method. Again, very similar. We will have to ensure there is an authorization present. And then there is this function, callback function here. The difference here would be that we will get the member object from the request body because this has to be passed as a payload. So like I earlier gave you guys some intro of the payload. Payload is a JSON format object of the member in our case. So we are getting the const m is equal to request.body. So request.body will give us what is given in the body of the of this request. And then once we have that, we will check some attributes. This is our logic. This we can write any logic about. We are just checking that if m.firstname or m.firstname.length is less than 1. So if the name is not given, that's what we are checking here. If the last name, if the first name is not given, or the last name is not entered, or the house number is not there, or all that kind of logic, we just want to say that this member data is not valid and we want to set the 400 status. If that is not true, so if the validation passed, we will go further down and we will get the member. We will do the create member.create function. We'll call the member.create. And if the create is also similar to the function Mongoose function like find and find by ID. So those are functions for finding it. This function is to create it in the database. So it will create once this function creation, once this member creation happens, it will return the member. And if the member is valid, we will set the status to be. We should be setting the status 201 in this case, because that's what we earlier looked, but that's fine. This code is okay. Still 200 is fine. Like I said, that 200 statuses are considered good. But in the generally, we use 201 for creation. So it would be better if we use a 201 here and then send the member back. Any questions on this so far? I'm hoping that I'm not making you guys very, very confused and tired right now. That's why I asked the question that should we put a pause and come back, or we are good so far? Are we good so far? I assume yes. Okay. So put is also not very different than the post. If you look at it, again, we need a payload in this case because we need to know what we are changing. We will find the record and update it. This is again similar to find function. This is find one and update. So we'll find it and then update that with whatever. With whatever method, whatever member we got in the payload. So we will update it, and then same we'll populate the user, and that's the same thing which we saw earlier. If the member is not valid, the one which we created, or if the member object is not there, we will again say member not found and return 404 or whatever. Again, let's look at the delete. Delete also should be very similar. So in case of delete is very similar to the get ID. So if you look at it, we will get the request.body and we will do the find and update, find one and update. Oh, no, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong one. The delete is this one. So we will get the member, find one, find by ID and delete. This is again a MongoDB function. So these functions make our life very difficult, very easier. I'm sorry. Find one and delete. like find by ID. So similarly, we have this find by ID and delete. So these are also MongoDB function. You find it, and then you populate user, and then you do a lean on that. And if not a member, you again set a 404 that this record does not exist. And if you found it, then you can set the response to the and set the member to the response. Okay, so let's I would like you guys to take a look at this document which I have created for you guys. This is in the Confluence pages where some other documents are there. Take a look at it. I think I have covered enough for today, and you guys probably should have lots of questions. And if you guys don't have questions right now, that's okay. We can come back to these questions next week and maybe get a little bit more detail. I think this actually does warrant another session. And I also want to cover this part as well, the Postman and how to do the authentication. There are some more details which are here, which I would like to cover a little bit in more detail. And if you guys get a chance, take a look at some of these links and see if express routing is the important one, because we are using the routing in this case. There are some unrelated things also here, but don't worry about them yet. So yeah, so I think that's probably all I have for today. If there are any questions for me right now before we end it, let me know. Otherwise, we can cover some of these topics next week. Looks like I put all of you guys to sleep.
Assalamu alaikum, Fahim here. So if if they don't have a question, I actually wanted to revisit the topic of the Scrum Master.
Okay.
Maybe perhaps we can keep that as the last topic after any questions.
We can keep it as a last topic of?
After any questions. I don't know if everybody else has any questions here.
Yeah, is there anyone has a question here?
Yeah, Naiman, I had just an overarching question about Node in general.
Mm-hmm.
So I went over Node a little bit, but I was having a little trouble understanding. Is Node like a server as well? Does it provide like all those backend services? I was having just a little bit of trouble exactly what is Node doing other than just being like a running our code.
Yeah, I think that's a very good question. I think Node basically does all that, which these libraries makes it easier for us. Just think like that. When we are, I mean, and I also had a similar thought process on that where is the Node then? Because for everything there is a library, but just think that Node is a platform. And on this platform, there are multiple libraries available, which makes our life easier. If we have to build all of that using the vanilla Node code, then it would be much more difficult for us to do. I hope I'm making sense for you.
Yeah, I got it. All right, thank you.
Anyone else has any question? Okay, go ahead, Brother Fahim.
Yeah, so I know that you mentioned that we should have that probably twice a week, and yeah, I think that's definitely the case. That would definitely help. So the responsibility of the Scrum Master is going to be pretty much doing what you were talking about in the first 5 to 10 minutes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. I would want to be part of that if Athar and I don't know, you mentioned somebody else.
Oh, Atif. Yeah, I think if you want to, I mean, the challenge with that is because Brother Athar probably and Atif are both very busy, and they probably do not make all our meetings. So the challenge with that is that if you take that on, then you may have to join our meetings, probably all of them.
Then that question is, I thought this is we meet currently once a week, right? Or
Yeah,
Is
we
the
want to
other
do it
board
twice. Yeah, right. Once it happens, right, every Saturday. So we want to have another one, the second one during the week, maybe Wednesday or Thursday, whatever day works.
Yeah, that's fine. But yeah, the two meetings, because the thing is that we're like working with everybody else here at that level, at that granular level, will also give me a better idea of
Absolutely.
the project and get to know everybody else also a little bit better.
Yeah. Yep. Perfect.
So yeah, we can work that offline and we
Yeah.
can figure out what cadence we want for running this. I run Scrum as part of my regular what pays my as my part of my regular job, so there should not really be a problem or anything new.
Perfect. Yeah, that will give us good insight into what you do, right? That's perfect.
Sure.
Okay. All right, guys. Thanks a lot for being with me for such a long time. Thank you.
Thank
So,
you.
Okay. Thanks. Allah Hafiz.
just